Are you overwhelmed by most things in life, like job, family, kids, finances? Do you have a never-ending to-do list? And do you feel drained at the thought of doing chores from time to time? If you said yes to those questions, you're not alone. I struggled with overwhelm for quite a while, and in this video, I will share 4 practical tips that I used to overcome and also deal with overwhelm. If you're here for the first time, my name is Kiran, I'm an author, and I write about emotional resilience and wellness. The link to my book is in the description below. So the very first thing in dealing with overwhelm is that you start paying attention to your tells. As in, when you're in a state of overwhelm, what happens to your body, to your mind, to your emotions? As an example, when I am in a state of extreme overwhelm, like my mind just goes blank. So I have zero focus. I might have a book in front of me and trying my level best to read it, but things will make no sense whatsoever. And then sometimes my mind goes into overanalyzing mode. As far as my body is concerned, my breath becomes shallow and it feels like I'm totally disconnected from my body and mostly in my head. And when I pay attention to my emotions, overwhelm almost always triggers some kind of fear in me. The moment I notice these symptoms, I immediately know that my mind is in overwhelm. And just knowing that is like literally half the work, because once I know the tells, I know exactly what I need to do. As you start paying attention to your overwhelm, notice how it manifests for you. Like what goes on in your mind, in your body, what goes on with your emotions. Maybe it's a tight deadline, or a difficult customer, or financial issues that always trigger overwhelm in you. And when you think about these situations, really take a moment to reflect upon, like, what kind of thoughts do you have? What kind of feelings come up for you? And then make it a point to write them down. And if you're not a writing person, then make sure you create a voice note. The point being is that you want to bring them out into your conscious awareness. When you're doing this exercise, allow yourself to come back to it over the course of a few days. And please do not skip this super important step, because once you clearly see what situations trigger overwhelm for you, then you can specifically address those situations. So with that said, let's talk about a few practical tools that you can use to deal with overwhelm. So the first thing that I want to suggest is that when you are overwhelmed, make it a point to connect with your body. Chances are when you're overwhelmed, you're stuck in your mind. You are either over-analyzing or over-strategizing, or maybe your mind goes blank. And in those moments, really take a moment to connect with your body. And one of the easiest ways to connect with your body is through breathing, and breathing all the way into your belly. Like one of the simplest ways is, you inhale and exhale to a count of 9. And when you do that, even if it's only for 2 to 3 minutes, you will notice that your body is naturally more relaxed and you're not stuck up in your mind. And if belly breathing, doesn't appeal you, then try going out for a long walk, or, take time to paint or meditate or just sit in silence, or maybe dancing or watching some funny videos. Or maybe you have a hobby, tap into that. The point being is anything that gets you out of your head and into your body is what you want to be doing. And you really want to take a moment to relax your body, because when you are in a state of overwhelm, your body is under a lot of stress. And if you are looking for solutions in that state, you won't be able to make any headway. Like solutions might be just in front of your eyes, but because of all that overwhelm, but because of all that stress, you'll be completely blinded to it. The second suggestion that I have for you in dealing with overwhelm is that you make a conscious effort to let go of control in your life. Part of the overwhelm stems from you desperately wanting to control things in your life. or desperately wanting things to go your way. And that is human nature, that is understandable. But when you start to look for controlling things outside of you, like your boss, your spouse, your kids, that's like giving invitation to more overwhelm. And you can't control anyone or anything, but you can always control yourself. So most recently, what I've been doing is that every time I get overwhelmed, I make a list of things that I can control and a list of things that I can't control. I know I can control my thoughts, my behavior, and my emotions. And everything else that my mind is churning, that goes into the other side of the list, things that I can't control. And once I make this list, I post it next to a place where I can see it at all times. And this is such a simple and effective tool because once you see in black and white things you can control and cannot control, it does become a tad bit easier to let go of control. I would really invite you to, make a similar list and just paste it somewhere where you can see it at all times. And then there are times when no matter how hard you try, you can't let go of controlling thoughts and behaviors. And in those moments, I would invite you to work with the affirmation, I trust in divine right order and timing. I was such a control freak in my life that I wanted to control everything and everyone and every single situation. So you can only imagine the amount of overwhelm it caused me. So when I came across this affirmation, I really took it to my heart. I started working with it, started repeating it over and over again. And over a period of time, it really helped me change my mindset. Like now, when things don't go my way, I just relax. I remind myself to take a deep breath. And then I tell myself, everything is working out in divine timing. If it feels in resonance, I will invite you to work with this affirmation and repeat it over and over again until it seeps in your subconscious mind. And eventually, you will get to a point where you trust that every single thing in your life is unfolding in divine order and timing. Do you have any special tools or affirmations to deal with overwhelm? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. So the next suggestion that I have for you in dealing with overwhelm is that you really take a moment to nurture yourself. When you are in a state of overwhelm, your body is already under a lot of stress. And that's not the time to push yourself into overwork or to spread yourself too thin, because in the long run, it's just going to backfire. And in those moments, what you really need to do is take a moment to be kind and gentle to yourself. Because the more gentle you are with yourself, the easier you will find to deal with overwhelm. And self-nurture means different things to different people. So for me, having a cup of warm coffee or tea, or maybe listening to the sound of rain feels very nurturing. So make a list of things that feel nurturing to you, and then do one of those things when you feel overwhelmed. Many people who struggle with overwhelm also struggle with perfectionism. If that is one of your target areas, make sure you check out my video on overcoming perfectionism, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. The next tip in dealing with overwhelm is that you set realistic expectations for yourself. Chances are, when you're overwhelmed, your mind wants to go in 12 different directions. And as you also know, that's not how you will make any progress. So make a realistic list of things that you can do in next few hours or next few days, depending on the situation. And once you have this list, just make it a point to focus on only one thing at a time. Like, I used to get overwhelmed very quickly. In fact, for me, it was a daily struggle. And part of the reason was that I would set these completely unrealistic goals for myself and what I could accomplish in a day. And what shifted this thing for me was making a list of 3 things that I was going to do in a day. Nothing more, nothing less. And in doing that consistently, I started noticing that, small baby steps, they add up rather quickly. And best of all, I was able to focus at work at hand without going into overwhelm because I knew all along that I was setting very realistic expectations. And some days you'll fall off the bandwagon, that's expected. But as long as you are moving forward, as long as you're taking those baby steps, you'll do just fine. I hope these suggestions were helpful. Please only take what resonate, discard the rest. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.